I think the forum and the event as a whole is highly impressive. I mean, in scope and scale, being so close to the election in October, it's really an impressive effort, and I really commend the organization for putting together such an event and inviting so many people from abroad. And speaking to some of the other foreign participants, we said that it would even be difficult to find such an event, or to imagine such an event to be organized in Europe, in countries like the UK. It'd be very difficult to organize such an event on such a scale. So really impressive organization, and very good quality of debate. And yeah, just highly commend the organizers. I think, first of all, stuff that was already known. Work I did in the last year and a half on the Brazilian inequality, the income inequality, where we know that inequality is large in Brazil, but I think what I wanted to do with this presentation, the highlights were focusing on the tax system and how the tax system can be seen to facilitate inequality, and in the end to not correct for it that much because of the regressive nature of the tax system and the highly complex nature of the tax system, which makes it very difficult to understand and to navigate, and only really people with sufficient resources that can afford to navigate such a complex system in the end benefit. So those with higher incomes that can afford to pay the tax lawyers to tell them what is fiscally optimal in their situation. So you've got a highly complex system, very opaque and untransparent, which discriminates different types of incomes, and it's hard to justify exactly why. And why would certain parts of the population have to pay high consumption taxes on basic consumer goods, like whether it's basic food products or energy, at rates between 20 or 30%. And on the other hand, you've got the taxation of the transmission of large fortunes, which is very minimal, at rates of between 4 and 6% or 4 and 8%, which are the rates of the inheritance tax. So on the one hand, you've got this inequity in the system where you're asking those with less resources to pay quite a significant share of their income in taxes on basic consumption products. And on the other hand, you've got certain incomes that don't even pay the income tax, like dividends, profits, and inherited fortunes, which get taxed very little at the very top. So it's a system which is quite difficult to justify, given the current situation. So just what I wanted to highlight was the inequity between different types of incomes and how they are taxed, and who has those incomes in this distribution, to reveal, well, the tax system can help to explain why Brazil is so unequal and why it does little to change that after the taxes are applied. So that's what I hope to contribute, but I only wanted to open up space for debate and for new ideas, and I think this was a very nice setting to do so. Summary, I think I talked about the complexity just a moment ago. So guiding general principles of what Brazil could do, based on historical experience and experiences in other countries, is that the complex system does not favor anyone except those that can navigate it, and have the resources to do so. So one guiding principle would be to simplify the system. If we just focus on the income tax system, which is a source of great regressivity, just simplify it, have all incomes, for example, in one unified and comprehensive personal income tax schedule. So you remove the regressive exemptions that already exist, and even other taxes that apply to incomes which escape the progressive schedule. So typically capital incomes like capital gains and in financial applications income, which are taxed at lower rates and separately. So the idea would be to bring all these incomes into one unified schedule that will have progressive rates that will increase with the level of income. So one thing is to move all incomes into one progressive schedule, and then a second thing could be maybe to modify these actual rates above which the income is taxed. So expand the rates where you have all income in one unified and comprehensive schedule, a progressive schedule. So that'd be one idea, which could be followed up in a similar way, applied to the inheritance tax structure, which has very few rates. So the levels could be expanded. The top rate currently in inheritance tax is 8%. There's probably room to expand that a bit more. and to see beyond what thresholds that tax begins to get applied. So you don't want to apply inheritance tax too low, because that becomes very unpopular. To tax certain types of inheritance transfers, like your family home, or which people feel very strongly, but it's really applied to higher fortunes. So again, just making the system simpler, more unified, and more progressive by applying more rates along the distribution. So that would just be one idea, which can also, this type of philosophy, this type of thinking could be applied to other types of taxes, like consumption taxes, which are, again, complex, have many rates, applying to many different products. So, but Brazilians are already talking about unifying the VAT and reducing the rates. So these are just a few ideas to consider. But just to summarize, that was what I think.